Jay, not sure if you know much about him. I don't know much about him or any of these kids really that were drafted in the Major League Baseball draft just the other day. But the Phillies' first-round pick from right around the area, around Philadelphia, a left-handed pitcher from high school. What did you think about the selection? Do you know anything about the kid? And what are your thoughts on taking high school kids, college kids, all that kind of stuff?
Yeah, Jesse Biddle, he's a local guy, Philadelphia high school player, left-handed pitcher, and Ruben Amaro Jr. really liked him. He had been out to see him multiple times. They've sent out other scouts as well, like local guys like Eric Valent in the Phillies system. They've been out to see him a lot, and I think there was another guy that they wanted early, but he didn't make it down to the 27th pick that the Phillies had, so they went with the route with Jesse Biddle, a guy that they knew well, a guy that they liked, and nothing wrong at all with taking high school players, guys. You've seen them coming through Lakewood a lot lately. You had Anthony Goes last year, straight out of high school. Right now, you got our boy, the boss, Jonathan Singleton, making his way up, and he was just a high school senior this time last year. So nothing wrong at all with taking high school players, and they progress fairly quickly as long as you can sign them, as long as the signability is there, and it doesn't cause a problem for you missing out on your first-round pick if a guy decides to stick with his commitment to a college that he signed with. There's no problems there taking young guys early.
Yeah, I got to say, it certainly is becoming the Phillies' MO within the organization. And, we have seen a lot of those high schoolers develop well into very good players. We've seen a lot of college players do the same. We've seen high school players bust out and college players bust out. It's an inexact science, is this entire drafting thing. On the subject of Blue Claws prospects and on the subject of Phillies prospects, have a little, you got any kind of farm update for us, Jay? What's going on with our old friends from Lakewood as they move up on the system and get closer to Philadelphia?
Well, they had their all-star announcements for the South Atlantic League All-Star game the other day. So you got 4 representatives coming out of Lakewood. You got Jonathan Villar and Jeremy Barnes, are infielders. Josh Zide, who is a relief pitcher who had a great April, was the Phillies pitcher, the minor league pitcher of the month in April, and he kind of struggled as May came on and more or less lost, pitched himself out of that closer role, but he's still there, and he's still putting up pretty good numbers overall. So Josh Zide is an all-star, and Nick Hernandez, our boy. I know you guys have spoken to him. I think you spoke to him on opening day. Left-handed pitching prospect. His dad's Angel Hernandez, a major league umpire, or his uncle's Angel Hernandez, a major league umpire, and his dad, also named Nick, was a former prospect, I think, in the Texas system, and guy comes from the baseball bloodline. So he's injured right now, but Nick Hernandez, a big prospect for the Phillies, and they got a lot of big prospects going on down there. Everybody's becoming familiar with the Cozart watch. Jared Cozart, big Phillies pitching prospect, 97-mile-an-hour fastball hurler, and our boy, the boss, Singleton. But, you got a lot of other guys on that team to go out there and watch at First Energy Park. So if you haven't been out to the ballpark this season, get out there, watch those All-Stars, get out and watch Jeremy Barnes, Jonathan Villar, Nick Hernandez, Josh Zide, our boy, the boss, and everybody else out there on the Blue Claws team, man. It's a great club out there, great atmosphere, great ballpark. And, if you're a Phillies fan or you're a local baseball fan, you got to get out there to that park.
Jay, after these next couple games here against the Marlins, interleague play will start up, and the Phillies will play 15 straight against American League teams. 9 of those, they'll be the road team. They go to Boston this weekend. They go to Yankee Stadium next week, which I'm sure we'll have a lot of fun with you and I here on the show next week in the middle of that series. And then they end that interleague swing with those Toronto games, which will be in Philly, but they'll be the road team. We know the story behind that. But I'm wondering here, how are the Phillies, in your mind, what do you think they're going to do with the DH spot in these 9 games where they can have the DH? Do you think it's going to be a rotating thing? Is there anyone on the bench that they can kind of plug in there every day? Or do you think Manuel will kind of try to keep guys fresh?
Yeah, I think he'll mix it up. You could see Charlie Manuel lately perhaps butting heads with Jason Worth the way he has. He kind of went with Ben Francisco in the lineup last night. So you could see Benny Fresh, the right-handed batter, getting starts against lefty pitchers. You could see Ross Glood, the left-handed batter, getting starts against righty pitchers. You could see them completely mix it up if they keep losing these games, and perhaps you see a switch with perhaps Greg Dobbs or somebody else getting trimmed out of the roster, and maybe John Mayberry Jr., maybe Dominic Brown, the big Phillies outfield prospect, could get a call because he's looking like he's ready for it. You never know, but I think Charlie, as long as the Phillies don't keep sliding downward in the standings, you'll see Charlie go with Ben Francisco and probably Ross Glode there in the DH spots. But, yeah, it's pretty exciting. You got all these interleague games coming up, especially that series with Toronto in Philadelphia where the Phillies will play the road team. So a lot of great stuff coming up. I know you said the Yankees next week. The Phillies will be visiting up there at New Yankee Stadium. That'll be a lot of fun. PhoulBallz.com is going to have an outing on the 17th. Check out the site for that. We'll have a game viewing party in Central Jersey, so we want to get people out there for that. Come see Dan Baker, the Phillies PA announcer, and we'll have a lot of fun that night.
Sounds like a lot of fun. It sounds like something I'm sure a lot of fans will want to get involved with here. But, Jay, I got to ask you before we let you go. I know he couldn't hit at the end. I know he stunk. But around interleague time, when we're talking Phillies, these are the times of year I miss Matt Stairs the most, Jay.
Matty Stairs looking pretty fit last week, stole a base against the Phillies, and he came in with the Padres. And, definitely that's a guy that's advantageous for the Phillies to have at a point like, interleague play when they have a DH. But unfortunately, he didn't keep his 08 contributions going through 09, and the Phillies had to let him go. But, yeah, that's a guy that a lot of people love and will always have a good place, a solid place in their hearts for him, especially the way he performed against Jonathan Broxton in 2008.
On the subject of Matt Stairs, last night, it was around midnight, 1 o'clock in the morning, I had MLB Network on, and there's this guy in the studio with them, and he's the only one on the studio panel not wearing a shirt and tie. And I'm like, who is this guy? I know who he is. I've seen him before. And they're going around, and all of a sudden they start talking about the greatest pinch hitters of all time. And I'm like, is that Matt Stairs? I guess because the Padres are up playing the Mets.
Yeah.
Secaucus, New Jersey, not that far from the Mets and Citi Field.
They brought Stairs in?
Stairs came over after the Met-Padre game, and they had a whole thing about the greatest pinch hitters of all time.
Lenny Harris
in there, and they showed the greatest pinch hit home run Stairs has ever hit. And, of course, that one against Broxton came up over and over and over.
The moment that you and I called when he was traded to Philadelphia, he would hit a big home run that year, and a big home run he did hit. Matt Stairs, if you're listening right now in San Diego or in Secaucus, wherever you are, not wearing a tie, we miss you here on the Shore Sports Network.
Canadian Wood, we all love you, brother.
That was our hello to Matt Stairs, and this is our goodbye to Jay Ballz. Jay Ballz, PH on the front, Z on the end, PhoulBallz.com. Thanks so much. Happy anniversary, buddy, and we'll talk to you again next week.
All right, Mike and Joe, thanks. It's always a great time joining you on the Shore Sports Report.
Thanks, Jay.
Jay Ballz.